Howdy, hombres! My name's L.A.zy and welcome you all back to The Letter. In the last episode, Rebecca spotted the ghost as well as everybody else and almost crashed the car with Isabella. And she's also experiencing other apparitions as well as Kylie being manipulated by the ghost as well. I still have no idea what connection Kylie has to all of this, but the fact that the ghost can actually possess her as well kind of speaks volumes of the fact that nothing can stand in the way of the ghost. So, without the way gone, let's continue with Rebecca, aka Pinks. Let me just adjust everything. There we go. ... The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few shy, anxious glances. Every time a pen slips from by my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. Moving down in terms of new. There are a lot of details. So yeah, we're basically compiling a book of all the events that are happening so far. Alright. You think being on my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort? Or is it the fifth? Egad, what does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed off with some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories, centuries-old lore passed by the locals to keep children in line. You saw the ghost yourself in the car that other night that almost caused you to crash, and you still are adamant that it's nothing. God damn it. What place doesn't have those? One of my dad's books were as far as describing a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed their unborn children straight from the mother's womb, or hell, that's even the one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it was probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days, much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
She is. A terrible thing if true. But that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. Mariana. A familiar name flashes before me as the screen lights up and the brows knit together. Mariana McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, trying to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment when it clicks, my eyes zeroes in on the book lying wide open by my side. Oh yeah, this is after you met Marianne in the library. Going down from the library almost a week ago, I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were after the same book, but again she's giving in to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgot about it until now, and well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally I'd be done with the whole volume, besides a few days after taking it out, about one or two depending on how busy I am. Finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading more cheats, attending a movie premiere, the next, someone suddenly inviting me out for no reason or another. Days later, a friend's show stops showing up in her flat, right after morning reports pop up in the local news. It simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip of things. I have been flipping through the pages of said books moments ago, though never really reading anything, merely looking for distraction. To no avail. The woman gives out no drink at this time, and I hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon, unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
feel a request she's asked someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this, starting by with that.
Born and raised, third-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Ah,
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright, I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd.
she's starting to catch on.
Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it to lead to this. She must have not have lived here long, if she just asked me about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though it wouldn't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is, oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
Must have been the sunny weather, making me see stupid things. See things?
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their belief with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary. The time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death and the deed was passed on to Armagardi's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Mulch, stupid. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's satisfaction in her tone of voice I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories?
Probably some secret that Charlotte has locked up.
Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me pride is instantly been drained out of me. Phone creaks softly as my light hold on turns to a firm grip. A whole lot of bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly with only a quick goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. Look at Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine. I give her that, but she left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happening around her, too. And if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably would have made a connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusions in the form of what we have. I want to find out. We're really deep with it, I think. I think Marianne's right. Might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. Tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not exciting. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep dread at bay as I step out of the room-rated permanent in this day. He's still waiting for us out there. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's always something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I noticed his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. There she is. What the hell? Maybe because they're like... maybe because he's godfather to her, that's why the ghost has a reach over her? I don't really know. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and throwing in something on the floor with the tip of her shoe, and proceeds to make a vague gestures at me and the child. It resembles a fish flopping for air in the way he's moving his arms. I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Teal.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling the sides of the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than the 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare at the offending midget down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
What a dickhead.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
He can't even threaten her in front of all these people. Applause falls, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. I think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise I'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the offer for free dinner does sound enticing, however, half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely caught her puppy eyes, and by the second, find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun.
Will there be a choice?
You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
Mobile buzz from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence. For a second, I'm spared from the act of giving an answer or gladly away. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A strong expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I said it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am. What can I do? Checking a message from Ashton shows up. Hey Becca, I'll be around Salem all this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. Might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Oh, just the usual. Like what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by. He's in the area for some business. The way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. Looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, now face a different dilemma. Two of them are still waiting. Knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. Kinda hates ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait. He's expecting me to be there. But there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. But the foreman has already made clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We're miserable together. That's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that, still. Tough choice, but I have to pick one. Let's do it for Kylie. I mean, she is a cutie. In the end, it's my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. Plus with Luke. Not that I really care about that. In the end, my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. Chances are I'll only have to enter his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse. Some call from a friend or things to work on. It doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to get rid of. I'm learning more on the latter happening, looking for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the third time today, she tackles me to a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
Luke follows closely behind her, perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away. Can't resist throwing a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try?
I love the quips between those two.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick. You think you're scary? I'll show you what's scary.
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic tone in it, and briefly, I pause to stare at him. Luke shuts his mouth right after he walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like usual. For the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow I have this strange feeling that I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call it that, Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Dinner date. Of all the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks this one and waiting for food to be served. It's as awkward as I imagined it would be. Not bad sort though, a pleasant kind. Surprisingly, it leaves an okay look when he tries. As long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks or not exchanging curvy quips, it's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old being chattier, and going as far as to laugh at Kylie's story calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once I catch his breathing chest-off expression easy whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves after having lost interest in the conversation, however, both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with it. He can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned so far, though. It's too early for those, and besides, I don't like him enough to speak of every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repartee. This whole thing where he looks and feels wrong on so many levels. I'm quite sure he feels the same. So when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken finding something else to occupy myself with. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand while we wait for our respective meals. It will be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. What's going on? This is all Becca's details. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ashton's probably unassailable by this time, working on whatever business he has there. If I make up an excuse to leave now, I can still catch him.
Cut that out, it's distracting.
My hand still is holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long time now, complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving there is. Before that, he was whined about how uncomfortable his chair is and tasteless the decoration they have here. Previous to that, he has griped about how dull the place is compared to the one he frequents on the upper class side of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, Your Majesty. Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he's turning to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
Bobfuck? Do I even want to ask?
I don't want to hear it. If it's coming out of his mouth, it can only be either rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face? True horror.
What is wrong with you?
Rebecca's not having it.
You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent
Or
soap.
maybe bleach, either way.
Preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here,
For whatever reason, that puts an end to that talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book, and is now poring over it while I turn back to my mobile. Still no message. Would it kill him to at least send a message, check if we're home? Meanwhile, looks silence lasts all about 10 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the immature act down pat, I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affections during childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, all right?
Since when?
1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy. Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry. What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you can do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy. You could have informed me first, you know. Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer. Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Hey, you said something not so pricey, so deal with the choices, bud.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be. Relax, I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry. He doesn't even need to know we dined out. It'll be our dirty little secret.
He's not my boyfriend.
The words come out with more force than I intended. By the time I realize my slip-up, his lips are already spread and sneer. Heat slowly crawls up in my face.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
Briefly, his eyes search my face. No idea what he sees, nor do I care to know, but the next second he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. At that moment, I know I've flipped a switch in him somewhere and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. I don't even want to. Is that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile, waiting for another message for him? The reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him?
Look how mottled you are. Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush.
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours, and your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity, because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with. Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day, losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you, or putting everything you have aside to please them, to have your whole world revolve around one person.
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them, to have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming? What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after?
What the hell is your problem? I don't get it.
Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Averting my eyes from it is all I managed to do. Why is this mere 7 years after compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two things are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship like what I'm hoping for years. But what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've always been by his side, endured everything with him. Know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20...
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. Despite myself, the doubts resurface and my defenses crumble right in front of my eyes. It's no wonder he sees through me, and I suspected he ridicules it. Laughs. Strained, low, and rumbling. Sharp sounds striking the air around us. It's the murmur of people and the soft notes of the music playing over our heads. His shoulders shake, and when his mirth becomes too much even for him, he reaches up a hand and passes over his face as if to hold his glee close to him.
Bloody bullocks, this is just brilliant. Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
He dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, he asks for me are more words, scathing each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time, never looking at another man. He must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. I challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity, because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment I believe I've won, until he draws in the breath and turns back to me. voice drops next, though hushed, and heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
It rattles. Out of everything we said tonight, this is one of the things that twinges my heart. Maybe it's in the manner he delivers it, the lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in the tone he takes. Mark is not meant to cut, he only to express a simple truth. This time it's him who holds gaze against mine. Another unspoken challenge, and I realize that if this happened minutes before, all her hand equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. And the anger is there, worrying at my insides, prodding at the uncertainty that long kept. Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories whenever he needs me until other people came in between us. I've always been the one there. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, and that one day he'll see it for what it is. In spite of that, in this minute, under this mad scrutiny, my own heart wavers. Now I struggle to find the words. How dare he, though? A minus. And according to the music, he's gonna get it word for word. How dare he just waltz in and act like he can do as he pleases, say what he wants, and trample over other people's feelings? Doesn't know anything about me or Ashton. We only met a few days ago, and yet he acts like he'd been acquainted for years. Hasn't even met Ash. How can you say those things about him? The longer I hear his tirade, the more it sounds like he's pulling it out of his ass, out of some misguided thinking he's better than anyone in this whole bloody city. What a pompous ballhide. Don't know what that means. Normally I'll ignore people like him. He doesn't deserve a single second of my day. A small voice in the back of my head protested the idea of simply leaving things as they are. I refuse to let go until I've said my piece and defended myself. Tormenting months of harboring feelings of somebody scoffing at. And made of years, all of it built upon memories we have from childhood.
What right do you have to tell me that?
None whatsoever, Daisy. But did you assume I haven't seen that before? Those longing looks. The face of someone who wants something but has yet to get it? Give me a little credit here, woman. I'm not daft, nor am I blind to your silly little feelings. It's plastered all over your face anyway. I didn't even need to try.
A pause comes after, while I wait for him to add to that. He doesn't, but briefly a wistful expression spreads across his face. Surprisingly gentle, as if remembering an old memory from once upon a time, something he has constantly seen in the mirror. It's gone the next second. Then he turns his attention to the box beside him. The next few minutes, he contents himself with making a mess out of the paper napkins inside, pulling them into clean shapes without any clear intent before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest, and dumping them in a small pile in front of him. I allow it to go on for a little while before I interrupt him. I am not yet done.
And somehow that's reason enough for you.
Not at all. In fact, you didn't even need to stay here and listen to me ramble about it. Go on, walk away, the door's wide open, if you wish to be done with this mindless topic. You certainly won't hear me complaining if we just drop this now. I, for one, am very eager to be done with this stupid nonsense about your man and your...
You don't know me.
He pauses in the middle of folding another paper napkin to an airplane and glances up at me.
I'm quite sure we've already established that, Daisy. But go ahead.
And you know not a single thing about him.
That too is true. Are you going anywhere with this?
We've always been together since we were children. We've been friends for a long time. We know each other better than anyone. Compared to those 7 measly years you're so proud of, we've been with each other for almost a lifetime.
Not quite. Add a few more years, maybe? It does sound romantic when you put it that way, doesn't it? Not many people get to have someone with them that long.
Cut.
That's what you have going for you, isn't it? Cute years playing hide and seek, going to school together, and sharing lunchboxes? Did he also protect you from bullies? I bet my socks he did. Lucky, I don't even remember anyone from my old neighborhood. Well, except for that one Nancy who spat his drink in my face years ago. You better pray I don't find him.
So, you're just going to call it that? Despite what I told you, you're just going to call it an obsession?
Isn't it?
Of course it isn't. Didn't I already tell you?
Did it ever cross your mind how your man would feel about all this?
You think I've never thought of that? Listen here, you.
Or were you expecting he'll simply feel the same all because of some shared history you have? Because fun fact, Daisy, feelings change and people most definitely also change with time.
Well, he's kind of right on that. Can't deny it.
Whoever that person was 10 or 20 years ago, whatever idea you have of them floating inside your head, they won't be the same now.
What are you trying to get at?
Suppose that man of yours wants something else for himself. What if he never returns your feelings, the way you so desperately want him to? What will you do?
That's not going to...
Are you going to beg? Tell him to choose you instead? Or are you going to lash out at the poor woman or man who happened to catch your man's attention?
My voice falters. His eyes focus on me, the pieces of paper he's been folding earlier and now left forgotten in the space between us, while he waits for my response. However, I can't give him one. He's already aware of that, and it shows in his face when his lips form a lopsided smirk. He could have even had my suspicions all along. Once that rears its ugly head every time I simply see the two of them in the same room.
Oh, I hit a nerve, didn't I?
That's none of your business.
It's true, though. The poor bloke doesn't have any obligation to return your precious feelings, nor can you force him to. That wouldn't be right.
If you're just going to mock me, we might as well sew your bloody mouth shut this instant.
Now, no need to get violent. But come on, 20 years? Gordon Bennett, if nothing's happening past that mark, you might as well consider your options, woman. Even I wouldn't last that long.
Stop it.
One of these days, I'd like to meet the guy and share a few drinks with him, just to give the poor bloke a break from you. And probably see how dense he really is. I mean, a lovely woman like you chasing after him, and he doesn't give a shite? That's new. It'll be on me, don't worry.
I said stop it! I don't want to hear a word of it anymore!
The chair scrapes the floor as I abruptly push away from our table to stand. Leaning over him with the most piercing glower I can summon, anger undeterred by my own ragged breathing, clenched fists. Looking down at him as the same manner he did to me throughout his chat. The only way I can keep my pride intact in front of him and the other people watching the sudden scene unfold. I hate this man. I hate the fact that he can unsettle me like this, turning everything around what I believed in with mere words alone. What's more awful? It's how easily those can replace the very ideas I hold dear to me. Not because I am easily swayed, but because in each of them, I'm aware there's a sliver of truth. Minutes pass in quiet tension. Some of the diners have already lost interest in the commotion and have turned to their meals. Our waiter serves our food soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to her table unaware. Before I can take a seat, Luke mutters something. 2 words spoken in the same biting tone he assumed since earlier. Despite my opinion of the man, I stop to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of the meat on his plate. What comes out of him only rings true against my ears, about the din, the coffee house.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection? I sincerely hope not. Kylie spoke highly of you.
He spears the piece of his food, pops into his mouth, and that's it. That, however, he looks another challenging man, another question. One whole day with this man, I still can't figure what his deal is. This time I don't rise up to it. Doing so means facing a different set of truths, not yet ready to face, bitter truths. Those are for me to ponder on later, not in front of these people or him. His loathsome face and his sneer are the last things I'd ever want to see if that introspection ever happens. But for all this, I can't bring myself to think of him as someone wholly despicable. Most of our meal slips by in silence afterwards. Except from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes without another word exchange between the two of us. Somehow we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-filled conversation. Good thing, perhaps. 1, because Kylie is sitting in front of us, and 2, I probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to the school, except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters without waiting for Kylie and I. He emerges minutes later carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression back on his face. But like the previous ones, he tucks this one away, almost assumes he looks up at us. Only he's not willing to share. My confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, If only because it doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous ones. Those are the last words spoken this evening before we head our own ways. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand them. Here, however, a whole different set of questions await me. Much like everything today comes with littlest of things. A lone note greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against my faint warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Ashton needs script line to the surface. Dropped by earlier. They weren't around. The Indians were scared the cat is. We couldn't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. LPD stuff, something about her dead co-workers. Anyway, let me know what the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later, Ash. The message she left, short and straight to the point, but not without the underlying hint of friendship. Looks for Isabella, apparently. Something about LPD's investigation of a co-worker's death, but ended the formal term by checking on me. Us. And the other day, the former part of this message will likely prod the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Little things for him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time only guilt fills me and my eyes briefly shift towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection? I sincerely hope not. Carly spoke highly of you.
Have I always been like this?
This selfish? In truth, I've intended to call Ash after dinner if I didn't catch him here, flying to that party like we planned. There's time and he's still probably awake at around this hour. My hands won't move, or perhaps this would be better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it would be best if I distance myself from those who I cling tightly to. Find a different perspective and see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the known crumpled letter under my hand. The knob twists open and much easier when I answer this time. Maybe after some introspection it'll be easier. Tomorrow I have that woman in the mansion to worry about. October 28th, Friday. Night wears on without any further incident despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strange soft stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morning. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, eagerly waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as suspected, the second I step out, my clatter comes apart, broken by the voices of two squabbling adults, echoing from a floor below. The crime was nice while it lasted. Shit.
What the hell were you thinking?
I wasn't. Ow! Could you let go?
Ash and Isabella. Not for a few seconds later, they both descend the stairs, with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood as she attempts to pry his hand off with another one, using the necessary force to push herself away, neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that at least, however it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice. She answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my presence.
Do you have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxford knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
All right, you two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Both of their heads snap up almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but it's a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest in the commotion, with some taking a peek behind the curtains, while others are bold enough to creep open the doors if only slightly. They don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen. first thing on the Friday morning, even if it's hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't! Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them, and
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place. Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
Others? So the ghost is targeting the agents as well. Is that why I saw the other guy, like, not stuck in his room, the other guy fall into the ghost with all the "help me" written all over the walls? Last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly on a memory, and that vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not...
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse. There's a murderer on the loose, and your coworkers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time. And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Sure, in a heartbeat I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it always has been, besides having a very good point. Really, they're very the same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been seeing, sensing these past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabel or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. But however I respond to the questions in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. Ashton has a minus. I don't understand, like, this small bar like in before them. I wonder what the heck those mean. Ashton in particular will be too happy to hear it. Imagine the look on his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows. Shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself for the disappointment. It will be a disappointment. Not in a million years that I ever believe I'll be seeing it either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head, and for a few moments Ashton looks like he's about to have a fit. A pause treads as it heals after, a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Isabel's voice cut sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steady, and for a moment something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
Quiet resolve, same when I saw her in that night from 3 days ago. This time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight when she looks and strain the eyes, gazing flinching. Gradually, his grip on her wrist loosens.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is...
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us. A hushed descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand atop his, gentle, pleading, almost intimate. One does not consider the circumstance we found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul, will never admit to even himself. It's in that short second that his resolve breaks. The moment his hard edge and his eyes softens, he relinquishes his hold on her. letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose and gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip. The action prompted my voice's whispering in the back of my mind. It's already made clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us? How all of this will end? He shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust, granted implicitly and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a long moment as he turns it over in his mind. In the end, only manages to offer a small nod before he departs and promises to at least listen to her, without the teasing or the jibes. A favor for me, and at least he could do it for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I've understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where all this started will provide the answers I'm looking for. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden, whatever Isabella claims dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Of all the cabbies in Luxembourg, I have the chance to call the superstitious one. Still not as bad as finding out your car started refuses to crank on, and it's still working this morning, yes. But it's equally as frustrating when you're forced to walk the rest of the way. All because the driver got spooked. Isabella and him will get along so well. I do get his reasons. After all, I've had my fair taste of bizarre lately. All of which might have been brought upon by that letter Isabella found there. I think he'd at least be charitable enough to take me a little closer to the house itself, not a distance 15 minutes away from me by foot. Good thing I'm not wearing anything too formal or constricting. Otherwise, the short walk would put me in a bad mood long before I'd suffer in a room full of strangers tonight. Although this soon proves to be a problem the second the drive when it comes into view, and I near the entrance. Severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Cars worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined line the mansion front yard. Men and women decked out their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. Well, once the woman... skip that. Presumably Miss Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among the present company. This despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husbands beside her. Trait worthy of utmost admiration at best, at worst she's the envy of every woman, subject of every gossip he looks for.
Welcome everyone.
And Mom said we could have been good friends? I can even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though I admit she does seem familiar now that I've seen her this close. Memories of seeing her vanity not mine being interestingly close to fancy for my tastes. They fled briefly in my mind until the cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience and
Please, make yourselves at home.
I wish I can share her enthusiasm, really. Being surrounded by all this extravagance, for lack of a better term, only makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. I shouldn't have let Luke's words affect me like that. I should have just gone ahead and asked Ashton like I planned. If you were here, we wouldn't have to...
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
The rest of that thought dies in my mind at once. A moment of astonishment overcomes me before confusion sets in seconds later. It takes another for my body to catch up. Once it does, when I finally turn to see it for myself, it's this familiar mop of hair that catches my eyes first. And there he is, almost in arm's reach if it isn't for the guest standing between us. Ashton Frey standing in the Armagard mansion drive Mansion's driveway. And with an air to lackadaisical for someone who absolutely abhors party of any form. Or has any business here as far as I know. Picture of forms is too bizarre for me, but my mouth speaks out ahead, making coherent thought.
Ashton?
He swirls on his heel with an equally puzzled face. An expression flashes momentarily across once he sees me, though he blinks away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
That in itself is weird coming from him. It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused at some point in the crowd. His gaze darting between people walking past us until a small frown forms in his face.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
Chief?
Ashton, what's...
Unexpectedly, he places a hand on my shoulder, stopping me mid-sentence. He still has a distracted look on him, except this time his eyes are sharper, as if he's found that what or who he's been searching for among the throng of partygoers earlier.
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? Before I can ask for it, he has turned his back from me and is walking away, a single explanation whatsoever. Some desperate effort to try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted the sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
This conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello and a reminder to enjoy the party and send their regards to their old student. But when the call ends, I get to look up. Ashton's already no in sight. With a sigh and admittedly a little disappointment, I took my mobile back into my pocket and went inside. Feeling familiar company, however coincidental this meeting is somehow shaping up to be a terrible week. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I am actually gonna save. So that's gonna be it for this episode. So far, no ghost inside, but oh boy, Luke. I don't know what the hell was the deal with Luke. He's probably like all too jaded with his marriage. He's trying to impose his jadedness onto other people, but goddamn. I still like want to know, like the bar in the relationship bar, there's like a small like white line. I wonder what the heck that means. Is it like it needs to be, the relationship needs to be that much in order for them to like, you know, survive, or maybe something like that? I don't really know. It's still a mystery to me. So, without further ado, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. And hopefully, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!